My name is Andrew Lucas, and I run Freedom for Life Counseling. Now, you may be wondering, first of all, what is a sexual addiction counselor? And secondly, why you would ever need to go see a sexual addiction counselor? Well, in the field of counseling, there's lots of different kinds of help that counselors offer. There's different kinds of addictions. Some addictions are just more well known than others. But the field of sexual addiction is something that's been growing over the last few years, especially as people's use of pornography has been growing, as the internet's been able to provide more and more pornography, more and more accessibility at cheaper and cheaper prices. It's just a lot of people are getting hooked on it. And a lot of people are finding that they're unable to walk away from it. They're unable to simply stop a sexual habit that they're trying to stop, and they feel trapped in it. They feel stuck in it. They start to lose hopelessness, thinking it doesn't matter how strong they desire not to go back to it. They just keep going back to it time and time again. So if you're finding yourself caught up in one of those kind of cycles, then it may be appropriate, it may be helpful for you to seek some specialized counseling in the field of sexual addiction. Now, I'm used to talking to people one-on-one, so I'm trying to kind of talk to you right now, even though I'm speaking to the camera here. But let me kind of get into your heart a little bit here. As you're watching this, now you may be somebody who thinks, I like looking at pornography, I don't have a problem with looking at pornography, nobody in my life has a problem with me looking at pornography, they look at pornography, what's the big deal? If it's working for you, this probably isn't the video for you to keep watching. But if you look in your heart and soul, and there's a piece inside that says, there's something wrong with this. I know I should stop. I just don't know how to stop. I keep trying to stop. I just keep going back and back and back to it. And you're getting tired of being caught up in that kind of cycle. And there are times where you feel totally free of it. You feel like you've beaten it, you've gotten away from it, and yet you keep going back to it. Something happens down the road, might be a couple of days, might be a couple of months down the road, but you just keep going back to it. And you can see that this habit, this pattern has established itself in your life. You're caught in some kind of addictive cycle. And what I'm hoping you'll do as we're talking here is you're kind of look at your own life. Don't just try and generalize this or make this kind of a theoretical kind of discussion, but really look in your life and be honest with yourself and think, what is it that keeps drawing me back to this? Why can't I walk away from this? Because what I hear quite a few people say is they'll list off other addictions, whether it's smoking or drinking or whatever it happens to be. They'll tell me, I was able to walk away from that. I decided to quit and I quit. I decided to stop and I stopped. But when it comes to this sexual addiction, this pornography addiction, these habits that go with that, I can't stop it. I just keep going back and back and back. Now, that might be the case you're in. Now, why you would go to sexual addiction counseling would be if you're the type of person who's sitting here thinking, I want to stop this. Again, if you don't want to stop this, I'm not here to try and convince you. But there are lots of people out there who have gotten to the point where they're tired of going back to pornography or whatever their sexual behavior is that they want to stop. It's wearing them down. They can see it's creating problems and they just want to stop, and they're just not sure how to do that. And this is where going to a sexual addiction counselor, somebody who specializes in helping people break their sexual addiction habits or their sexual patterns that they want to stop, or compulsions, whatever you want to call it, by going to somebody who specializes in that, they can help you kind of dig below the surface, find out what's going on. Why does this pattern keep showing up in your life? Why do you keep getting dragged back into it? Why does it not seem to matter that no matter how strongly you vow never to go back to it, you know you're going to go back to it. So the sexual addiction counselor would help you map out what behaviors need to stop. Sexual addiction counselor would help you look at your sexual history in a way where you're able to kind of see how the pattern started, how they keep playing out, how the same type of things, even though they might be below the surface, how those same kind of things keep pulling you back, and until those things are dealt with, you're more susceptible to keeping going back to it. Now again, that's going to require you to look into your heart and soul, be really honest with yourself, understand what's going on, what drives you, because what drives you may not be what drives the next person. Now, as you're listening to this, you might be thinking, okay, got some information, now I know how to deal with this, I don't need to tell anybody, I can just kind of handle this on my own. Or you might be sitting there thinking, it's actually been a while. I haven't been looking at pornography, haven't been doing anything sexual that I think I should be stopping. I guess everything's okay, so I don't need to talk to anybody about this. What I'd really caution you and try and draw your attention to is you may simply be in a different phase of the addictive cycle. There's usually easy patches where people feel like, hey, I beat this. I don't need to talk to anybody. I can do this on my own. And yet, if you look at history, you keep going back and back and back. And even now, as you're listening to this, part of you might be saying, but there's still a pull. There's still a draw. I still feel weak and feel like I may easily go back to that. So I want to give you some hope, though. When it comes to dealing through sexuality in whatever capacity, addiction or not, I think it's really healthy to have people who you can talk to these type of things about. And especially if you're trying to beat a sexual addiction or some kind of sexual habit, like a pornography addiction or a pornography habit, I strongly encourage you to talk to somebody. There are good counselors out there who can help you. There are good Christian counselors who can help you. There are good Christ-centered Christian groups that are designed to help you with these specific issues. So I strongly encourage you to, find the courage, break the silence, talk to somebody, and really start dealing with whatever your sexual addiction is in a new way, with a new depth, and hopefully with a lot more support.